So how are you both?
We are good.
So good. Oh
It's
my
been a
goodness.
whirlwind.
Yes,
QB1's been crazy.
yes, I loved freelance. So I have to start off by asking, how was your Sundance 2026 experience?
Man,
It was
it
awesome.
was
It
wild.
was really, I mean, we haven't been to a film festival that big before, definitely. So it was eye-opening. But like most of all, it was really exciting because like we were a little bit later in the program, so like there was a lot of things that were kind of, it all felt like it was leading up to our showing, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we had something to look forward to through the whole weekend. So
Yeah.
um, and the reception was really great as well from the audience.
I love it. I love it. So I have to ask, because you guys are brothers first, right? Before you are creative partners. So how has kind of being in this creative space with your brother deepened your personal relationship?
That's a good question. I mean, we're 4 years apart, so um, growing up, we were never in the same school at the same time. When he was in high school, I was in middle school. When he was in college, I was in high school. And when I was in college, he had a job. So we were always somewhat in different spaces, like where we were, just living our day-to-day lives. And our joint venture in filmmaking always allowed us to like stay connected and work on projects with each other. Um, and we live nearby, and so like we hang out pretty much every day, which is cool. And filmmaking is fun, so it's almost like it's really fun. So we treat it
Yeah.
like a hobby. This we give it the same love as a hobby, as we more so than like a job that we do together. And so
Yeah.
it's been really great, and it also allows us to like work through um, you know professional differences that translate over to our real life. It allows us to not take anything super personally. But it's been a journey. When we first started out, we were definitely arguing like brothers. And every once in a while we still do, but it's not as much anymore. We're very cordial about it and cooperative with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And now
Collaborative.
you know each other's working styles probably like a lot better than in the beginning stages. So you kind of know whose strengths lie where. And then you're able to kind of tap into that with a little bit more ease, and a little bit more of like the professional brain versus like, the older brother, younger brother brain.
Yeah. No, 100%. We always laugh about all the work that we feel like we're doing right now. Or like, imagine if it was only one of us. So we take the help and assistance any chance we can, and we've learned to really lean on each other and learn each other's kind of communication styles and creative tendencies, and we can avoid those moments where we butt heads and really come to the table with solutions. So yeah, like Justin said, it's like filmmaking is still like a hobby to us. It's like hopping on a game, us writing a script or coming up with ideas. It's like you know playing a game or playing pickup basketball or something. It's like what we would want to do anyways.
Right, right. So, Julian, you wrote this. So, I have to ask kind of first, what conversations were you hoping to kind of spark amongst the creative community, who really kind of see themselves represented in this story?
Yeah, I think, we wanted, it's funny, when we were telling this story, this was kind of becoming the project that we wish we had growing up, when we were getting into this, creative medium. And we always laugh because the world that we prepared and the industry that we prepared to enter is no longer the same. So, we're still navigating that. And I think what we wanted to do was just bring levity to the idea that it's the Wild West out here, and bring levity and at least allow other creatives to identify with the fact that we're all going through the same struggles. Some of the best advice that we've gotten as filmmakers was Look, I'm still doing it too. Look, I'm still looking for money. Look, I'm still trying to tell the story that I've been wanting to tell for 20 years, and I think once we realize that like we're all in this together and this is not like a race against each other, it's like a race or a marathon with each other and it's constant passing the baton and bartering services and creative talents and building a community around you. And so I think that was kind of the lesson that we wanted to, ground the audience in and let them know that they're not by themselves in this journey. And in fact, in order to get through it and get to your goal, you actually need to bring others with you. So that's kind of the goal that we wanted to inspire, but then also just bring levity and humor into the situation that we're all trying to figure it out.
Right. And Justin, I have to ask, just when directing kind of together, where do you feel like your visions kind of most aligned or even challenged each other from a creative perspective?
Um, when it comes to our personal work, or at least this project, like
Hmm.
I feel like we were very much on the same wavelength. A lot of the times we are just, adding to each other. And so when it comes to like the story, like we built, kind of an outline of what the story would be and the things that would happen based on stuff that happened to us in real life. And so he sent me the first draft and then I threw some more ideas at him and he would like see how he could incorporate it. And so I think ultimately it's at least for this project, it was like paring back. Like we would build something together and be like, okay, what can't we do with our budget? And so it was very fun. I don't think there were any moments where it's like where we felt like we disagreed entirely on something. But when it comes to like on set, uh, when we're co-directing, Julian is very big picture, and so he can really maintain that story thread and theme throughout the story. And I kind of am focused more in on like the details, especially when it came to this, since it was around like filmmaking, and oftentimes I was the one like holding the camera on our older shoots, and so I got to add in a lot of those little details that like that you get as a videographer. But then when it comes to like working with the talent and the crew, Julian is a little bit more talent oriented. I'm a little bit more crew oriented. And so he kind of helps paint the picture of like the scenario, and I kind of help capture that. And we can get it's very flexible and fluid in that way, but that's generally where we tend to land when it comes to like, giving direction.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, I will say that like we don't necessarily butt heads a lot creatively. Like we're pretty much on the same page a lot. I think where we do probably have the most discussion in would probably be in like post when we're like figuring out music. I think just like with our, we're 4 years apart. We kind of have we actually pride ourselves in having different tastes in music, which is good. If we had the same taste in everything, it probably wouldn't be good. But I think music does a lot to change and shift the tone and stuff. So a lot of our discussions, especially we're both musicians and kind of have that background. A lot of our discussions, where we do need to figure out where we can meet in the middle comes with like music and establishing tone and stuff.
Okay, okay. Now I have to ask because it's loosely based on both of your experiences in some ways. So, which character in the friend group do you feel like is probably most closely to who you are in real life, closely related to who you are? I can start with you, Julian, to answer first.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like it's a combination. Lance is a little bit of both of us, me and Justin. But then there's another character that kind of rounds out who we are. So like Lance for me, it's a mixture of Lance and Markel. As an ex-athlete, I'm also very bubbly and like kind of, energetic. I like to bring the energy wherever I'm at. And so that's a little bit of as I was writing, I was definitely able to kind of influence Lance and Markel's characters pretty fluently.
Yeah,
Just
for me, like Julian said, we kind of mixed our characters into Lance, but Leland is kind of a literal amalgamation of me. We kind of tried to take my funniest and I guess most entertaining slash worst qualities and put it into like the your general or your average like younger brother archetype. I think out of the friend group, maybe it's Xavier. I studied fashion in college, and so I tried to like throw a lot of details into the way um, his character, behaves and performs like socially. There's a lot of nuances that we pulled from, not only our experiences, but friends of ours, and so. I think that would be my answer. It's probably Lance and then mostly Leland, a little bit of Xavier.
Okay. And talk a little bit about how you got the talent for this particular project, like how you were able to kind of secure your cast and, get them all together to do this incredible project.
It was really like personal outreach. Like we got their contact emails, wherever they had it, reached out to their managers and shot like a personal email asking them if they um wanted to be a part, and then we sent them, the log line and a little bit of a synopsis and then our resume. And luckily we had been doing a lot in the commercial space over the past few years that kind of gave a little bit of like a stamp to the project that we were working on. And so we wanted to reach out to people that we like knew as people on the internet in terms of like these are all talent, or most of the talent were are like prolific on the internet and have been for a while, but haven't necessarily been in like the movie or TV space yet. But they're actors and writers. And so um, we just shot them. I think maybe we shot a couple DMs too, and we reached out to a few people. And then from there, we were able to start getting a few like attachments. Like we were just like, hey, we're shooting on this weekend in May. If you can pull up, we got you. We'll cover like we'll 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 do it how a film is supposed to be done. And
Mhm.
people agreed.
Yeah.
When Kev got attached, I think that was a big one for us too, because everybody loves Kev,
Yeah.
and he's been in the TV space for a minute. So um,
Yeah.
that was really a blessing.
Yeah, we tried to anchor our outreach with what we knew would grab people's attention. We had just done the LeBron spot with Bronny and a couple other viral campaigns, and so we were like, let's put that up top and let's just reach out personally. Um, and so yeah, we have a lot more success with just reaching out personally to people. I'd rather us put our name on it and sign it ourselves and put something personal in the message. Put something personal in the message. There's a big glass door in front of us. People are saying what's up. But then I think once, we had Spence Moore, who we had met through a couple of through a program. We both volunteered with the Nate Parker Foundation where we were helping coach HBCU students to do their first short film. He was an acting coach, and so we got to know him and his family. And this was a project. He was like, "I'm down, let's do it." And he's from Ohio, so we knew once he was available, we were like, "Okay, we have somebody that has some legit credits behind them." And then it kind of became a snowball effect. Like once we got Kev on stage signed on, it was kind of like, hey, like these two are here, like, you want to come to Ohio, and everybody kind of just started adding on from there. And it got to the point where like people were hearing stuff and we kind of added a couple characters in late just because they were like, I want to be involved. So yeah, I think once the ball got rolling, it really started, shaping up and people started getting involved and it turned out perfect.
I love that. That's my favorite thing, honestly, about being Black is community. And so we can always try to like reach out to each other and have that. And ironically, Mel, who I absolutely adore, I used to have a show when I worked for Amazon, and I had her on it, and we literally just kind of like DM'd her also and was like, "Hey, girl, you want to be on this show for this after show for a television show?" She was like, "Okay," So I do love just having kind of that level of community,
Yes.
kind of built into just like being Black. We always gonna ask. I mean, if nothing
Hmm.
else.
Always gonna ask. Yeah.
Yes, which I adore. So what is next for you all? I need more freelance, but what else is coming up? Like tell us more about that.
Yeah, so right now we're um, working on developing the first season of Freelance for sure. Um, and right now we don't know what's going to come like immediately next, but we have a few things in motion. We have that. We have a feature film that we've uh, been writing for the past 5 years.
Mhm.
We finished the first draft a couple years ago, and it's been, you know, uh, making the rounds of notes, probably at least like 100 versions by now, but we're in a space to finally complete that and bring it to fruition within the next year or two, which will be really cool. It's our first feature film. It's a sci-fi. For people who have been keeping, we're not we're not famous, but like for anyone who has kept up with some of the work that we did before freelance, even before our commercials, it was a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. Like we love fantastical elements, and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that's where this feature lies. And it's about a young black male. I won't give any more details on the plot there, but it's a really exciting story that we want to bring to life.
Yeah.
But we're also working on expanding Dreadhead Films as a company too, and in terms of all the content and all the art that we want to put out.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been really trying to look at it from the filmmaker's perspective, but there are a lot of also, filmmakers out here that are now starting to turn their brands and companies into, full content umbrellas. And I think that's really inspiring for us, as our work has come through in 60-second ads, 5-second ads, and now 40-minute pilot episodic. I think there's so much range that we can cover and tell, from our perspective, and we really want to start, building out what our slate looks like. So the beginning of that is freelance, and we're developing that as we go. Obviously, it's a journey of a filmmaker trying to tell the stories that he wants to tell. So as we're selling this, we're also writing what this this looks like in Lance's journey eventually. But then also on the feature side, we want to make sure that when we do take our step into the feature side, it's with a project that we're really passionate about. It's something completely original. All of our work thus far has pretty much been in the world building space. A lot of our stories, we try to build worlds around them, build characters, build locations. Everything should, kind of has its own origin. And so for our debut feature, we're definitely there's a lot of world going into that, and we're excited to kind of, you know, kick off in our career in that direction as well. So we're taking our time, having the right conversations, and like we said, this is a love. We do it for the love of it. This is a hobby of ours, and I think we're willing to take the long road to make sure that our visions are executed how we feel they should be. So, excited.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said supernatural and fantastical because I was wondering, and during freelance, I said, "Now, was there a ghost down there? What's happening in that basement
It's so
area?"
funny. We try to add those small elements just to be like, we could go this way. I think you get a lot of that in like that the Afro surrealism type of, genre that a lot of like, Donald Glover does it sometimes in his stuff, like it'll be super grounded, but then there'll be some fantastical elements that's like, whoa, like, but I think, there's some depth to that, and there's a side of our brain that works completely like that. So we think our feature will probably blend both sides of our brain a little bit. We'll make you laugh, but we'll definitely have some fantastical elements to it.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, last question. How has freelance really shaped or changed your perspective on ambition or success in this industry?
Hmm. It's it doesn't hasn't necessarily changed anything for us. I think it's definitely grounded us in, thinking and understanding that we have what we need where we're at. And I think large part of that story is in the conception of the story. I think, the idea was to tell our story. Again, one of the big pieces of advice that I got as a writer was to write what you know. And so this was like, all right, let's really exercise that, and tell the stories you can. So, at that time a year ago when we were going to try to come to Sundance on our own money, we were like, all right, well, let's actually use this to tell a story that we can with this. And we did. We told a story that we knew. We told a story with what we could. And, that was what we've been doing our entire career up to this point. And, I think this was just one of those few times where we did get an acceptance and it did get over that hump. And, sometimes all you need is that one small, seed of reassurance to let you know that you're going in the right direction. So yeah, I think freelance has taught us to continue to build where we're at and bet on ourselves and continue as we build the stories, we'll also continue to build our audience. And I think that's something that's really cutting through the noise right now.
I love it. Well, thank you all so much for chatting. I really appreciate it. I adored Freelance. I cannot wait for the full first season, to come out so I can get a little bit more and a little bit more. I can find out about that ghost because truly, I
Yeah.
mean, he was fighting for his life and
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah. It's so fun. He has a couple fun journeys on the season. So really excited for you to be able to see the rest and yeah, hopefully we can bring it to life soon.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you for taking the time
Thank you.
to chat with us.
Yes, of course. Thank you both. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too.